The galaxy shimmered like a sea of endless light as Ethan Cole, a human engineer from Earth, drifted through the void inside his small repair shuttle. He wasn't a soldier, not a hero, just a man who fixed broken ships for trade credit. But that night fate decided to turn a simple job into something much greater. His radar beeped. A massive alien cruiser was spinning out of control near the edge of a meteor storm. Its engines were dying, flames burning blue in the vacuum. Ethan didn't think twice. He boosted forward, locked his ship's grapplers, and started patching the reactor through remote cables. Every second counted as the meteors streaked around him, crashing like thunder against the alien hull. Inside the cruiser, chaos ruled. The ship belonged to the royal house of Zerathia Prime, a world famous for its ancient power and pride. On board were the three royal sisters, Lyria, Ceres, and Nera, and they had never seen a human before. To them, Ethan was just a strange creature from a forgotten world, risking his life for people he didn't even know. Stabilizer patched, Ethan muttered, sweat on his forehead. Just hold together, you big piece of junk. A massive meteor smashed into the cruiser's side, spinning both ships violently. Ethan's shuttle alarm screamed. His oxygen gauge dropped fast. Still, he refused to disconnect. He linked his reactor directly to the alien ship's failing one. His own craft would burn, but maybe theirs would live. A bright flash filled the dark as the power surged through the conduits. The alien cruiser roared back to life, pushing out of the storm. Ethan's shuttle spun away, its hull breaking apart. His last sight before blacking out was a silhouette. 3 glowing figures watching from the viewport as his ship disintegrated. When Ethan woke up, everything was silver and blue. Smooth walls, strange lights, and the hum of alien machinery surrounded him. His body felt light. He was inside a medical chamber. Standing near him were 3 women, though they didn't look entirely human. The tallest, with silver hair and calm golden eyes, spoke first. "You're awake. You saved our lives." Her voice was royal, but kind. She wore white armor trimmed with gold, Lyria, the eldest sister. Beside her stood Ceres, fiery red hair tied back, her armor scarred from battle. She looked less thankful, and the youngest, Nera, had soft violet eyes that seemed to look into his very soul. Ethan tried to sit up. "Where am I?" Lyria smiled faintly. "You are aboard the royal ship Eternal Crown. You repaired our reactor during the storm. By Zerathian law, we owe you a debt of life." "A debt of life?" Ethan frowned. "That's not necessary. I was just doing what anyone would do." Ceres crossed her arms. "No human would risk his ship for aliens he's never met." "Why did you?" He shrugged weakly. "Because you needed help. Doesn't matter what species." Nera tilted her head. "Strange. He speaks truthfully." Before Ethan could ask what that meant, 2 armored guards entered. "Your Highnesses," one said, bowing. "The Council demands immediate judgment according to the law of the stars." Lyria sighed, then looked at Ethan. "It seems our laws still bind us, even across species." They led him into a vast chamber of crystalline light, where alien nobles and advisors filled the room. The air shimmered with energy. A tall priest in golden robes stepped forward, holding a glowing scroll. "In accordance with Galactic Law, Chapter 12, Verse 9, the priest declared, "The one who saves royal blood must be joined in sacred union to preserve the lineage of balance. The savior shall become bound by the crown, wed to all heirs of the royal line." Ethan blinked, confused. "Wait, what? Did he just say, wed?" The crowd murmured. Ceres looked furious. "You can't be serious, he's human." But the priest continued, unshaken. "The law is clear. It was written by our ancestors to ensure the unity of souls that cross stars. It cannot be broken." Lyria's expression hardened. "If we refuse?" "Refusal," the priest said coldly, "would dishonor the crown and invite cosmic judgment upon the throne." Ethan's heart raced. "You mean if I don't marry you 3, your planet gets cursed? Or something blows up?" No one laughed. No one even moved. The silence was heavier than space itself. Nera stepped forward, her voice soft but trembling. "It is not a curse. It is prophecy. The stars demand balance. You are the one who restored life where there was death. You can't choose just one of us. By law, you must choose all. Ethan rubbed his temples. This has to be a misunderstanding. Sarah slammed her hand on the table. This is madness. We can't marry a human. The priest raised his hand, silencing everyone. The bond will be completed during the ceremony of chains in 3 cycles. Prepare the human. Guards moved toward Ethan. Lyria looked conflicted. Naira looked sad. Saris glared at him like he was the problem. As they dragged him from the chamber, Ethan shouted, "Hey, wait, I didn't agree to this." The great doors closed behind him, echoing through the hall. Lyria turned to the priest. "You said this law hasn't been used in 1,000 years? Why now?" The priest's eyes glowed faintly. "Because, my queen, the stars have chosen. The human is not here by accident. He is the spark foretold." The chamber fell silent again, as above them, the constellations shifted. 3 stars aligning into one bright cross over the planet of Zerathia. And somewhere in the ship's corridor, Ethan whispered to himself, "I just wanted to fix a ship. Now, I'm about to marry 3 alien princesses." Ethan Cole didn't sleep that night. The alien walls of his guest chamber glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. He kept pacing the floor, replaying the words in his mind. You can't choose just one. By law, you must marry all. He had dreamed of exploring the stars, not getting trapped in some royal alien wedding. But outside the door, 2 guards stood like statues, holding silver spears that shimmered with energy. There was no escape. Morning came too fast. A servant entered, bowing deeply. "The royal sisters will see you separately. They wish to understand the human who changed their fate." Ethan sighed. "Great. First I saved them, now I'm the galaxy's weirdest bachelor." He was escorted through tall crystal halls. Alien symbols danced across the walls like living light. The first door opened, and inside stood Lyria, the eldest. She turned gracefully, wearing a long white gown that glowed faintly. Her golden eyes met his, calm yet full of thought. "You look uneasy, human." "Wouldn't you be?" Ethan said. "I woke up to find out I'm apparently engaged to 3 women I just met." Lyria's lips curved into a soft smile. "The law is cruel in its certainty. But know this. I do not wish to trap you. I only wish to understand you." They sat by a floating table where glowing tea steamed in glass cups. "You risked your life for strangers," she said quietly. "Among my people, that is rare." Ethan shrugged. "Back home, we call it doing the right thing." Lyria looked down, almost smiling again. "Perhaps that's why the stars chose you." Before he could reply, a red alarm flashed on the wall. The guards entered. "Second Princess Saris requests the human, immediately." Lyria sighed. "Be careful with her. She does not trust easily." Saris's training hall smelled of ozone and metal. She stood in combat armor, swinging a glowing spear through the air, each motion sharp and fierce. When she saw Ethan, she frowned. "So, this is the man I'm forced to marry." "Hey," Ethan said, raising his hands. "Forced isn't my favorite word either." She tossed him a wooden staff. "Then prove you're worthy. Fight." "What? No way. I don't fight princesses." "Then you don't belong beside one." Before he could argue, she charged. Ethan barely dodged. The staff cracked against the floor, sending sparks flying. She moved like lightning, strength beyond human. But Ethan wasn't helpless. Years of field work made him quick on his feet. He ducked, tripped her, and her weapon clattered to the floor. She stared up, shocked. For the first time, someone had outmaneuvered her. Ethan offered a hand. "Can we talk now?" She hesitated, then took it. "You're not as weak as you look." "Thanks, I think," he said. Sarah smirked slightly. "Maybe the law chose well. Maybe." As he left, she muttered under her breath, "But if you hurt my sisters, human, I'll end you myself." The final meeting was nothing like the others. The chamber was dim, filled with floating lights like fireflies. There sat Naira, the youngest. She wore no crown, only a silver band around her forehead. Her violet eyes glowed faintly as she turned toward him. "I can feel your thoughts," she said softly. Ethan blinked. "Excuse me?" "Your fear, your confusion. They echo like music. So you can read minds?" "Not minds," she said. "Hearts." He laughed nervously. "Well, mine's mostly panic right now." She smiled for the first time, gentle and real. "You are honest. That is rare among royals. My sisters hide behind strength and duty. You simply speak truth." Ethan sat beside her, feeling oddly calm. "I'm not sure why your laws picked me, Nira. I'm just a mechanic from Earth." She touched the air, forming a small image of stars. Maybe the universe doesn't need heroes. Maybe it just needs someone who still believes in kindness. For a long moment, they said nothing. The silence between them felt peaceful. But then the room flickered and Naira gasped. "No, someone is watching us." The lights went dark. A small drone crashed through the window, sparking as it hit the floor. Ethan kicked it away. Before it exploded, he caught a glimpse of a sigil, a black sun carved into metal. "Who sent that?" he asked. Naira's eyes were wide with fear. "That mark belongs to General Kale, our mother's old advisor. He hates outsiders." Ethan felt his stomach twist. "So, someone's trying to stop this marriage?" Naira nodded slowly. "They will not stop with words. The wedding is in 3 days. He will strike before then." The door burst open. Lyria and Saris rushed in, weapons drawn. "We heard the blast!" Lyria shouted. Saris kicked the smoldering drone. "Assassins already? Guess the human's curse spreads fast." Ethan stood tall now, breathing hard but steady. "Then we'll be ready for them. If someone wants me gone, they'll have to deal with all of us." For the first time, the three sisters looked at him not as a stranger, but as an ally. And somewhere in the dark corridors of the ship, unseen eyes watched from a hidden screen. A cold voice whispered, "Then let the human think he's safe. He won't live to see the ceremony." The halls of the Eternal Crown were no longer peaceful. Guards doubled their patrols, scanners swept every corridor, and yet unease hung in the air like static. Ethan could feel it, the tension, the quiet fear. Since the attack in Naira's chamber, everyone treated him differently. Some bowed. Others stared as if he carried bad luck. Even the walls seemed to hum with hidden danger. That night, while working on his small repair drone, Ethan caught strange sounds from his translator device, alien voices whispering in broken code. "The human cannot live through the ceremony. The general's order, prepare the execution during the vows." Ethan froze. The signal came from inside the royal ship itself. Someone on board was planning to kill him. He grabbed his tool belt and rushed through the glowing corridors. The metallic air smelled faintly of ozone. The only one who might believe him now was Lyria, the eldest, the one who still looked at him with reason. He reached her command chamber. Lyria stood near a holographic star map, studying defense grids. When she saw Ethan's face, her calm expression hardened. "What happened?" she asked. He handed her the small translator, its hologram replaying the message. "Someone's going to kill me during the ceremony. It's coming from your own systems." Lyria's eyes narrowed. "That signal code belongs to the Palace Guard network. Only a few can access it, like General Kale," Ethan said quietly. Lyria hesitated, then nodded. "He's loyal to tradition, not the crown. If he thinks our marriage weakens us, he'll strike first." Ethan sighed. "Then we stop him before he stops me." Lyria paced slowly. "He commands half the royal army. If we move too soon, he'll accuse us of treason. So we wait?" "No," she said firmly. "We prepare." That night, Naira came to Ethan's quarters. Her violet eyes glowed in the dim light. "You should leave," she whispered. "There's still time to escape before the ceremony." Ethan looked at her sadly. "If I run, Kale wins. He'll start a war between humans and your people, and you three will take the blame." Naira lowered her gaze. "I don't want you to die," he smiled faintly. "You sound like someone who already cares too much." Naira didn't answer. She simply touched his hand, and for a brief second Ethan felt her emotions, fear, hope, and something deeper unspoken. Suddenly the lights flickered. The door opened. Sarah stood there, armored, furious. "What's going on here?" "Relax," Ethan said. "We're just talking." Saris glared at Naira. "You shouldn't be near him." "If Kale's spies see this—" "They already know," Ethan interrupted. "They're planning to kill me during the wedding." Saris stiffened. "Who told you that?" He pointed at the device. "I heard it myself." Saris clenched her fists. "Then let them come. I'll cut down every last one." Lyria's voice came from behind her. "No, sister. If we act with anger, we lose control. We must outthink them." The three sisters stood together now, each representing a part of their people: reason, fire, and heart. Ethan looked at them and realized this wasn't just about him anymore. It was about unity, something far bigger. Lyria stepped closer. "Ethan Cole, do you trust us?" He nodded. "With my life. Then you must vanish before the ceremony," she said. "Let them believe their plan succeeded. We'll expose Kale publicly." Ethan frowned. "You want me to fake my death?" Saris grinned slightly. "Finally, something I can enjoy." Hours later, the plan began. Ethan lay inside a glass containment pod in the ship's lower lab. The sisters stood around him, performing the energy sealing ritual, while loyal guards recorded it as proof. Lyria whispered, "Your vitals will appear lifeless for 24 hours. Once Kale moves to claim the throne, we'll reveal you're alive." Ethan took a deep breath. "If this works, I owe you 3 dinners. If it doesn't, well, I won't be around to argue." Nira placed a hand on the pod. "You will live. The stars still watch you." The energy field activated. His body froze in pale light as the system shut him down into suspended sleep. Moments later, heavy boots echoed outside. General Kale entered with soldiers behind him. His tall frame cast a shadow over the glowing pod. "Is it done?" he demanded. Lyria bowed her head. "Yes, General." "The human is dead. The law cannot continue." Kale smiled coldly. "Then the throne remains pure." But as he turned to leave, Naira's hand twitched. Tiny sparks of psychic light flickered around her. Ethan's consciousness deep inside the stasis felt it too. Through some strange connection, their minds brushed across the barrier. "Don't give up," her voice whispered in his thoughts. "Never planned to," he answered faintly. And far above them, in the silent sky, the constellations of Zarathia shimmered again, 3 stars slowly beginning to move into perfect alignment. The storm was coming, and soon every secret aboard the Eternal Crown would be revealed. The day of the royal ceremony arrived, bright and quiet, almost too quiet. The sky above Zarathia Prime shimmered with 2 golden suns, their light reflecting across the city's crystal towers. Millions watched the live broadcast, unaware that the groom they were about to see was already dead. Inside the royal palace, preparations continued. Lyria and her sisters wore ceremonial armor, silver and blue, forged from the metal of fallen stars. They walked through the marble corridors, their steps echoing like slow drums of destiny. General Kale watched from the high balcony, his black armor gleaming like night. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with pride and hatred. "At last," he murmured, "the crown will be free from this human stain." The massive temple of light opened its gates. The crowd cheered as the royal family entered. The air was thick with incense and music, beautiful, haunting, and filled with power. In the center of the temple stood 3 pedestals, where the sisters were to make their vows. The ceremony of chains was not a wedding of love, it was a ritual of power, meant to bind souls under ancient law. Without Ethan present, the priest would declare the human sacrifice complete and the marriage void. As the choir began to chant, Lyria's heart raced. She looked at her sisters. Saris's jaw was tight. Nira's hands trembled. They all knew this was the moment to act, or everything would be lost. Far beneath the temple, in the cold silence of the royal lab, Ethan's pod began to hum. His chest rose sharply. The faint spark that Nira left within him, her psychic bond, had reignited. His eyes opened. "Not today," he whispered hoarsely. The pod cracked open with a hiss. Alarms flickered on nearby screens, but he didn't care. He tore the cables from his arms, staggered to his feet, and reached for the control console. "If Kale wants a ghost, I'll give him one." Using the ship's internal systems, he activated his engineer's wristband, a small device that could link him to palace technology. Data streamed across his visor. He saw guards in every hall, energy barriers on each floor, and Kale's soldiers moving toward the temple. He took a deep breath. All right, Ethan. You're late to your own wedding. Time to crash the party. Back in the temple, the priest raised the glowing crown symbol, the mark of union. The Savior is gone, he declared. By the will of the stars, his debt is fulfilled. The law may be closed, Kale smiled. The human sacrifice will be remembered, briefly. But before the priest could complete his final words, a thunderous sound shook the ground. The temple doors burst open and a wave of smoke filled the air. Out of the haze walked Ethan Cole, alive, covered in dust, eyes blazing. Gasps filled the hall. Sorry, he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. Didn't mean to miss my own ceremony. Guards raised their weapons, but Lyria stepped forward, her heart pounding with both fear and relief. Ethan, you're alive. Kale's face turned pale. Impossible. You were dead. Guess your plan had a few bugs, Ethan said, holding up his wristband. You should really update your security codes, Kyle roared and drew his plasma blade. Guards, kill him. The temple erupted into chaos. Blaster fire tore through the air as explosions shook the pillars. The crowd screamed and fled. Lyria grabbed her energy staff, Saris unsheathed her twin daggers, and Naira raised a shimmering barrier around them. Ethan ducked behind a fallen column, returning fire with a weapon he'd hacked from a guard's rifle. Nice wedding day, he muttered. Saris fought like fire itself, every motion sharp and fierce. Lyria led civilians to safety while shielding Naira, who was focusing her powers. The sisters moved like a single force, united now not by law but by choice. Kale leapt down from the balcony, his blade glowing red. You should have stayed dead, human. Ethan faced him, sweat and dust streaking his face. You first. Their blades clashed, Kale's plasma sword against Ethan's improvised energy rod. Sparks exploded with each strike. Kale's strength was brutal, trained by decades of war. Ethan used agility and wit, dodging, countering, surviving by inches. Then Kale's blade sliced through Ethan's arm guard, cutting deep. Pain burned through him. Kale raised his sword for the final strike. But before it fell, a violet glow wrapped around the blade. Naira's voice echoed through the air. Enough! Her power surged, freezing Kale mid-swing. The air trembled as her eyes shone brighter than ever. Lyria and Saris joined hands beside her, channeling their own energy. Together, their combined light struck Kale like a storm, blasting him across the chamber. His armor shattered. He fell to his knees, staring at Ethan and the sisters in disbelief. This is against the law. Lyria stepped forward, voice calm and royal. No, Kale. This is the law, the bond that unites, not destroys. The crowd, hiding behind the pillars, slowly began to rise and cheer. Ethan smiled weakly, clutching his injured arm. So, does this mean we're officially married now? Saris rolled her eyes but smirked. You're lucky you fight better than you flirt. Naira placed her hand over his wound, glowing softly. Rest now, Ethan. The battle is not over yet. Above them, the twin suns merged into a single golden blaze, and the ancient sigil of the stars appeared in the sky once more. 3 stars, 1 light. The prophecy was awakening, and the real war for Zarathia was only beginning. Smoke still drifted through the shattered temple. The smell of burned metal and ozone hung thick in the air. Ethan sat on the cold floor, his left arm wrapped in a temporary medband. His body ached, but he was alive, and the people were cheering his name. For the first time in history, a human had saved the royal sisters of Zarathia not once, but twice. Yet something was wrong. As healers tended to the wounded, Ethan's wristband flickered. Lines of strange alien code began to appear across the screen, symbols that no human could possibly read. And yet, somehow he could. His lips moved unconsciously, whispering the translation. Core language. Ancient Zarathian. Command sequence unite. Naira noticed. Her violet eyes widened. Ethan, what are you saying? He blinked, startled. I don't know. It just came out. I can understand it? Lyria turned toward him sharply. That language is forbidden. Only the bloodline of the crown can read it. No human has ever. Before she could finish, the temple walls pulsed with blue light. Ancient glyphs flared alive, glowing brighter with every word Ethan spoke. Saris drew her weapon, looking around. What's happening? The priest, trembling near the altar, whispered, It can't be. The language of the first ones has awakened. Ethan stood slowly, staring at the wall where the symbols formed a ring of fire. Within it appeared an image, 3 stars and 1 world surrounded by light. I think it's a message, he said. And I think it's about me. The sisters led Ethan into the royal archive, a vast chamber hidden beneath the palace. Towering columns held floating crystals filled with memories of centuries past. Lyria placed her palm on a pedestal, activating a holographic record. An ancient voice spoke, echoing through the room. When darkness divides the crown, a stranger from the dust shall come. His voice shall awaken the words of unity. His heart shall bind 3 as 1. The hologram faded. The silence afterward felt heavy. Ceres crossed her arms. So the law, the marriage, all of it wasn't about politics. It was prophecy. Lyria nodded slowly. The stranger from dust. That's a human. You, Ethan. Ethan rubbed his temples. You're saying some ancient alien law predicted I'd show up? That I'd marry you 3 to save the galaxy? Naira's voice trembled softly. It means you are the key. But keys can open doors. Or destroy them. Before Ethan could answer, the ground shuddered. The walls flickered red. The palace defense alarm screamed. Ceres sprinted to the console. Kale's fleet. He's retreating to orbit. No, wait. He's activating something big. Energy readings are off the scale. Lyria's face paled. He's launching the Eclipse cannon. It's meant to destroy entire cities. If he fires it at Zerathia, millions will die. Ethan looked at the holographic map. A massive warship hovered above the planet, its central core glowing like a newborn sun. He clenched his fists. Then we stop him before he fires. Ceres smirked. Finally something simple. But Lyria shook her head. The cannon's power core is locked by our family's bloodline. Only one of us or someone linked to us can access it. Naira's eyes met Ethan's. You're linked to us now. Through the law, through the prophecy. Ethan took a deep breath. Then I'll do it. Lyria frowned. You don't even know how. I didn't know how to read your ancient code either, Ethan said, his voice steady. But somehow I did. He stepped forward, placing his hand on the glowing crystal at the center of the archive. Instantly, lines of energy crawled up his arm, spreading across his veins like light. His vision blurred, the universe opened before him. He saw flashes of the past, humans walking beside aliens, building cities together, then vanishing into the stars. A voice echoed in his head, soft, distant, and human. Ethan Cole, you were never an accident. The blood of the first ones runs in you. The bridge between stars. And hearts, he gasped, falling to his knees. Lyria caught him. What did you see? I saw Earth, he whispered. But older, different. Our ancestors left. They became you. The sisters stared in shock. The truth hit like lightning. The royal blood of Zerathia was human. Before they could speak, the ceiling trembled again. A hologram flickered to life. Kyle's face appeared, his voice cold and triumphant. You found your prophecy, human. But it ends today. The cannon will fire in 1 cycle. Surrender the throne, or watch your new world burn. The transmission cut out. Ethan stood tall, his eyes glowing faintly with the same light as the symbols on the wall. He wants a war, he said. But I've already seen how it ends. Ceres tightened her armor. Then let's make sure he regrets ever touching our family. Lyria nodded. Prepare the fleet. We go to the stars. Naira placed her hand on Ethan's chest. The prophecy has begun, but you are changing it, Ethan. You shouldn't know these things. Yet you do. That means destiny itself is bending. He looked at her, calm but fierce. Then let it bend, because I'm done being fate's tool. Outside the palace, the night sky burned as Kale's fleet took formation. Above it all, the 3 stars aligned perfectly, and the human who shouldn't have known stood ready to change the future. The royal fleet rose from Zerathia's upper atmosphere like silver flames piercing the sky. From the command bridge of the Eternal Crown, Ethan Cole watched the stars unfold, silent, endless, and waiting. Kyle's warship hung in orbit ahead, dark and massive, shaped like a floating fortress. Its core glowed crimson, pulsing with enough energy to erase a planet. Around it, hundreds of smaller ships formed a ring of fire. Ethan felt the vibration of the engines beneath his boots. That cannon fires in less than an hour, he said. We stop it or Zerathia becomes space dust. Lyria stood beside him, calm but fierce in her silver armor. The fleet is ready. But Kale's army still believes we betrayed our law by marrying a human. If we attack first, we become the villains. Sarah slammed her fist into the control rail. Let them think what they want. I'll tear that traitor's ship apart myself. Naira placed a hand on her sister's arm. Not through anger, Saris. We win with unity, not destruction. Her words made Ethan glance at her. There was something in her tone, a quiet strength that balanced the storm between them all. Then the command console lit up. A glowing projection appeared, ancient text scrolling rapidly. Ethan's eyes followed every line, his voice steady and low. It's another record from the archives, he said. The law of the stars wasn't made by Zerathians alone. It was created by humans, our ancestors. They left Earth thousands of years ago and built this empire together. Lyria frowned. You mean the founders of Zerathia were human? Half human, Ethan corrected. They mixed with other races to create balance, body, mind, and spirit. That's why your people resemble us. You're descendants of the same origin. Sarah stared at him, stunned. So this so-called law was never about forcing marriage? Ethan nodded. No, it was a failsafe. A way to ensure the galaxy's bloodlines could reconnect, if ever the human race was forgotten. Lyria's golden eyes softened. And now the prophecy makes sense. A stranger from the dust shall unite the divided hearts. You are not a stranger, Ethan. You're a missing piece, he gave a tired smile. Yeah, well, missing piece or not, we still have a warship aiming a giant death ray at us. Before anyone could reply, an explosion rattled the deck. Red alarms blared. The fleet was under attack. Kale's ships are advancing, shouted a pilot. They're targeting our communications. Ethan gripped the console. Send out the truth to every channel. Show them the archive record. Let the soldiers see what this law really means. Lyria nodded. Broadcasting now. Across the fleet, holograms of Ethan and the sisters appeared, showing the ancient message, the truth about the Galactic Law, the shared origin of humanity and Zerathia. Soldiers stopped firing, their ships hesitating in space. The confusion spread like a wave, but Kale wasn't slowing down. His voice cut through the comms, deep and venomous. Lies, the human corrupts you all. I serve the true bloodline, the pure crown. The eclipse cannon charged again, its red glow expanding until it looked like a second sun. Ethan clenched his fists. If that thing fires, we're done. We need to overload it from the inside. Saris grinned fiercely. Finally some fun. Lyria shot her a look. We're not storming a palace, sister. We're entering a dying star. Naira turned to Ethan. You can link with the ship, can't you? Like you did before, he hesitated. Maybe, but last time nearly fried my mind. She touched his chest, her voice steady. Then we'll share the burden. You won't do it alone. He looked at all three of them. Lyria, wise and brave. Saris, fierce and loyal. Naira, kind and powerful. They weren't just princesses anymore. They were his allies. His family. All right, he said. Let's finish this. Moments later, a shuttle launched from the Eternal Crown toward Kale's warship. The heat from the cannon core rippled across the metal hull like a heartbeat. Inside the shuttle, Ethan connected his neural link to the ship's systems. The sisters formed a circle around him, placing their hands on his shoulders. The link activated. Energy surged through them, connecting mind to mind. Ethan saw flashes of memory. The sisters' childhoods, the loss of their mother, Kale's betrayal, and the lonely path of the crown. In return, they saw him. Earth, oceans, laughter, and the simple beauty of humanity. Their minds merged into one stream of light. The connection grew brighter until the walls melted into stars. Ethan gasped. I can feel the core. It's alive. It's feeding on the same energy we share, Lyria said. If you sync to it, we can stop the cannon. Kale's voice thundered through the intercom. You can't stop destiny, human. The law ends with me. Ethan's eyes glowed with blue fire. No, Kale, it begins with me. He placed his hands on the reactor's core. Energy poured through his veins like lightning. The system screamed, metal bending, alarms howling, but he didn't stop. The sisters held on, their strength flowing into him. Outside, the massive cannon's glow faded. The red light turned white, then vanished completely. Lyria opened her eyes slowly. It worked. The cannon's offline. Ethan smiled faintly, sweat on his brow. Told you, we make a good team. But before anyone could celebrate, the floor shook violently. The reactor began to overload. Saris shouted, It's going critical! If it blows, the whole ship goes with it. Ethan looked at them, calm, resolute. Then I'll stop it. Naira's eyes filled with fear. You can't, your body won't survive. He touched her hand gently. Doesn't matter. I'm already part of this system. I can control it from inside. The sisters screamed as light engulfed him. His form dissolved into energy, merging with the ship's heart. The reading stabilized. The explosion halted. Through the comms, Ethan's voice echoed softly. Don't cry. I'm not gone. Just everywhere now. The sisters looked out the window as Kale's warship went dark, drifting silently among the stars, and in that silence, a single blue star appeared, glowing brighter than all others. The battlefield was silent now. Kale's warship drifted through the dark like a dying ember. The stars around it flickered faintly, their light bending over the still wreckage. Inside the ship's shattered command bridge, only the hum of cooling metal and the faint pulse of a reactor's heartbeat remained. Lyria, Cirrus, and Naira stood in the center of the glowing ruins, staring at the empty space where Ethan had been. Only a faint shimmer of blue light lingered, a whisper of him scattered like stardust through the ship's systems. Ethan. Naira's voice trembled. You can hear us, can't you? The lights around her flickered softly like an answer. A quiet hum vibrated through the walls, followed by his voice, gentle, distant, but unmistakably his. Yeah, I'm here, Lyria gasped, tears glinting in her eyes. By the stars. He lives. Cirrus gritted her teeth, her anger hiding her pain. You idiot. You became the ship? Guess so, Ethan said with a faint laugh. Could have picked a smaller one, though. Even in tragedy, he found humor. It made the sisters' hearts ache even more. The wreckage outside shimmered as Kale's surviving fleet transmitted surrender. Across Zarathia's skies, people cheered. The war was over. The traitor general was gone, his cannon silenced. But for the sisters, victory felt hollow without the man who made it possible. Back on the planet a week later, the royal city prepared for a new dawn. The Eternal Crown now hung in orbit as a living monument, its systems alive with Ethan's presence. His voice guided engineers, repaired satellites, and restored what war had broken. Children in the streets looked up at the glowing ship and whispered, That's the human star. Inside the royal palace, the sisters gathered at the crystal balcony overlooking the city. Cirrus broke the silence first. It feels wrong celebrating without him. Lyria placed a hand on her shoulder. He is here, just not as we knew him. Naira closed her eyes and her psychic glow brightened. He speaks through the stars now. Listen. They stood quietly. A soft breeze swept through the open hall, carrying faint static like a whisper. Then came Ethan's voice, clear as light. You three holding up okay? Lyria smiled sadly. We're managing, but Zarathia misses its hero. Not a hero, he said gently. Just a guy who refused to let anyone else do the dying. Cirrus crossed her arms, fighting tears. You always had to play the noble fool. Someone had to balance your temper, Ethan teased. Despite herself, Cirrus laughed. You'd better not make jokes when I'm crying, shipboy. No promises, he said, his tone warm. Naira stepped forward, her hand on the glowing console embedded in the wall. Ethan, can you feel everything now? Yeah, he said softly. Every breath of wind, every drop of rain, every voice that calls my name. I'm connected to Zarathia's core now. I am the system. I can see you even when I close my eyes. Lyria's throat tightened. You gave up everything. Not everything, Ethan replied. I still have you. A hush fell over the balcony. The suns above began to set, their golden light painting the city in fire and gold. For the first time, the three sisters reached out together, Lyria's strength, Cirrus's fire, Naira's heart, and placed their hands on the same glowing crystal. The ship's light brightened instantly. Ethan's voice grew stronger. You feel that? Naira smiled through tears. It's you. No, he said. It's us. The prophecy said a stranger from the dust would unite divided hearts. That wasn't about me saving anyone, it was about us saving each other, Cirrus whispered. So, what now? Now, Ethan said, you lead your world. I'll watch from above. But whenever you look at the stars and see a blue one shining brighter than the rest, that's me keeping you safe. Lyria's eyes glistened. We'll never forget you, Ethan Cole. You don't have to, he replied, because I'm always here. The blue star appeared above them, burning brighter than ever. Across the city, people stopped to watch, pointing toward the sky. Nira whispered, "The Union of Stars." The light washed over the planet, spreading peace through every corner of Zerathia. The sisters felt it too, a warmth that wasn't just light but love radiating from their lost human. And somewhere, in the deep hum of the universe, Ethan smiled. "You can't choose just one," he said, his voice echoing through every tower, every home, every heart. "Because I chose all of you." The sisters stood together beneath the glowing heavens, 3 hands joined as one. As the night sky sang with 1,000 voices of hope, the legend of the human star had begun, and it would shine forever.